Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Ben from Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and I have an important announcement for you guys. At the end of every single episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you might hear us shout out to our fans, one of whom is Matt Herring, who was one of the original Superhouse fans. He's always given us his support, and now it's time that we support him. We've just recently found out that Matt has been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And as a cancer survivor myself, I know personally that there's a lot of emotional and financial strain that comes into that. His wife, Kelly, has set up a GoFundMe account at gofundme.com/f/Matthew-kicks-cancer039s-butt. And hopefully you can help reduce the financial strain to that, as well as some of the emotional strain that comes with that. Again, that's gofundme.com/f/Matthew-kicks-cancer039s-butt.
Matt Herring was the first, I guess you could say, true Superhouse fan. We were Superhouse at that time. The first fan of this podcast and what we do here, and has always supported us, talked about us, and he's from a town close to where I'm from, and so we share that as well, and just a huge superhero fan, and nerd like the rest of us, and now he's going through that, and if you could donate just at least any amount of money to that link that Ben just said, that would be truly appreciated. Just hang in there, Matt. You'll beat this thing soon.
God damn it, I told Clark to stop throwing people into my city. They always land in the cave. Who is it this time?
Dude. Fuck, man. Dude. Man, fuck.
That's a long name to memorize. Who are you?
Oh, man. I'm like a hero. And my name is Jack.
Jack? Jack what?
I'm from a distinguished house in my hometown. Maybe you've heard of it.
Wait, your name is Jackal? Your name is Jackal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm like a vicious animal, man.
It's kind of weird. Where are you from, Jackal? Why were you thrown over here by Superman?
I'm like, the Earth expression is, I think, black sheep of the L family.
Okay.
Jackal smokes that crypto weed, man.
There's crypto weed. Wait, how do you smoke that? Wouldn't that, kill you?
Oh, the crypto bong, dude.
So why were you thrown over here?
I just don't like science, dude. That's really what it comes down to. I'm more like an art guy.
Alfred, definitely get the kryptonite.
They said I was pretentious on Krypton, and I got damn near thrown into the Phantom Zone. But he was nice enough to just throw me in the fucking Batcave, I guess. Man, Clark, he's also got super aim, huh?
Yeah, we have a whole group of people in that cell over there, but I don't think that's gonna hold you. Why don't you, step over here? You see that, green...
Oh, dude, green?
Area? Yeah.
Well, I do love green, I guess.
Oh, good. It reminds you of
Crypto
home.
weed is also green.
Yes.
Like earth weed.
There's a huge stash of crypto weed just right over there.
Oh, dude, okay.
You can light one up.
Oh, dude. This is great stuff.
Okay, that should be making him weaker. I don't know why he's getting high off of that.
Is that Aquaman? My man, what's going on? I love that crypto weed too, man.
Alfred, they're starting a drum circle. I don't know what to do. Call Clark.
I flew here as quick as I could.
Clark, you really need to stop throwing people into the Batcave.
Well, I don't say $5 words that much, Bruce, but let me just say, I kind of like fucking with you.
Welcome, everyone. It's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's superhero stuff you should know. And today we are continuing our deep dive into the Superman 78 movie, Superman the Movie. This is the man who knows too much about Batman, usually, but today I'm talking about Superman. This is Ben Wan, and with me is my co-host, as always, trying to get the mic off the mic stand.
I like the mic,
He does
actually.
not.
I don't know why I do this.
You mean the mic stand?
Mic stand. Yeah, I like the mic. Sorry. I like holding it like this. Okay. This is not the mic for that, I know, but
Gotcha.
It works out okay.
Gotcha.
Anyway, it's Andrew. How's it going, everybody? Welcome, Internet, to the pod.
Yes.
VidPod.
if you've heard part 1, you know the behind-the-scenes story of what it took to get Superman off the ground. The crazy story, really, about how it
Off the ground.
how it nearly didn't become the movie that we know it to be.
Yeah.
Didn't have the director we know it to be. Didn't have the star. Didn't even have the theme song.
The funniest thing was the bagel thing. I've
play
read-
like a bagel.
I've been reading more about that. And yeah. All the shit that I was reading, it's just reconfirmed what you're talking about. It's just unbelievable that he just said
Yeah.
bagel. It's nuts.
It's crazy, but yeah, that's where Marlon Brando was psychologically at the time. Was
Checked out.
Yeah.
Psychologically checked out.
But apparently, when he got on, he had not read the rest of the script. He only had. I don't think he even read his
that's
part.
a shocker.
Yet. He had not. Well, yeah, exactly.
He's not. He hadn't read
But he did.
a goddamn thing.
He did end up reading all of it, or he claimed to have read all of it, and he went to Tom Mankiewicz, who was the last writer on it, and he called it the script a quote unquote a fucking Valentine. He thought it was great.
That is interesting. So he likes it at the end.
He does. He did actually. I think he went from being checked out to appreciating what they were actually doing.
It's like, oh, I get what we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a nice arc, because I think there's a perception of him based off of the whole bagel story that he was phoning it in the whole time.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was really like that.
Right.
I think it was he warmed up to it, and so he was down by the end. He's like, okay, now I understand.
From
this.
your research, this is what you get.
Yeah, based off the stories that they say. So we're going to dive into the movie finally.
We haven't got to the opening credits
We have
yet.
not gotten the opening credits at all yet.
But there was a lot of build-up. It does make sense.
It does.
If you haven't checked it out, go back to part 1.
Go back to part 1. We're going to talk about the scripts. So I have read the original draft that is credited to Puzo, Leslie Newman, Robert Benton, and David Newman, and so I'm going to refer to that as the Benton-Newman draft.
The 400-page.
That's the 400-page one if you combine that with Superman 2.
Oh yeah.
And then there's the final draft that Mankiewicz did all the rewrites for that the WGA did not want to give him credit for, so Donner just gave him the creative consultant credit.
We talked about this. I asked this at the end of the last one, but I asked, was it found in the edit? And you said yes, and I again in my addendum research that I did by myself, it does seem to be the case because they got the ending from the second one that was supposed to be the second one.
Yeah.
And they shot like 2 movies at once, so they were able to kind of make the best one movie out of 2 movies. It was found in the edit.
Pretty much. It was a situation where they're like, we don't know if we're going to get a Superman 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that does make sense though.
Superman 1's a disaster. We don't know if we're going to get a Superman 2.
They're going to knock it out of the park the first time. They really have to.
I mean, it was ambitious enough as it was to think that they would get a sequel to a very experimental movie, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Nobody had done this serious Superman superhero movie before.
For sure.
So, one thing that I thought would be interesting to point out is that technically the title of the movie is not Superman the movie. It's just Superman if it shows up on there. We keep calling it Superman the movie, and it says so right here on the cover. But in reality, it never was actually said so.
We already know it's a movie.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Exactly.
We don't need that.
I know, but I think it's funny that we refer to it all the time. That. So it's not technically the actual title.
Metropolis Marvel, the movie.
That would be really confusing in today's day and age.
What is going on?
So in the very beginning, it is dedicated to a man named Jeffrey Unsworth. In Loving Misery. Unsworth, Unsworth. Jeffrey Unsworth was the cinematographer.
Oh, okay.
For Superman 78, as well as the scenes that were shot with Richard Donner.
Oh yeah,
and
he's Donner's guy.
He was Donner's guy, and he died of a heart attack in October 1978. So the movie is dedicated to his memory.
He never even saw it.
No, he didn't, because the final cut was not released until December.
God, at least he saw a cut, probably.
Well, yeah, he saw what was going on.
Yeah.
But again, he worked on some of the Superman 2 footage.
Yeah.
So his last known credit is actually the Donner cut of Superman 2. As released in like 2005, 2006.
What did he die of? Do you know?
Heart attack.
Oh yeah, heart attack. You said that, yeah.
But he was the cinematographer on 2001: Space Odyssey.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So they really pulled out like the best of the best.
Yeah. I mean,
the Saul kinds, dude. Oh man. Talk about like the ultimate like. As far as we know, anyway, from our research, it just kind of seems like they were kind of like your typical sleazebag Hollywood producer.
Everything you have is perfect.
Yeah, they said that like as soon as that they were trying to I think Donner was trying to explain how he saw the script. The Salkinds would fall asleep, something like that.
Yeah, thank God for Donner.
Yeah,
That's all we got to say on
Donner really kind of saved this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all kinds of original idea. They put the money together, all that shit. Doesn't happen without them for sure. But Donner's really the vision here.
Yeah. Their place as producers was pretty much getting the movie off the ground. That's pretty much it. Both Donner and Mankiewicz, Tom Mankiewicz, the screenwriter, credit Unsworth for being responsible for the different feels of each world in this movie. Krypton very much feels like a sci-fi sterile environment. You can tell that it's the same. Like,
did it always have like an ice crystal kind of look before the movie?
No. That came from them.
Okay, yeah.
And some of that is from the production design.
It's kind of a good call.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because of the Fortress of Solitude, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's probably how that got connected. And then Smallville's very like Norman Rockwell-esque rural area.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then you get to Metropolis, and suddenly it's just like now we're officially in a comic book.
Yeah.
So they credit Unsworth for the feeling of making them feel like that.
Okay.
The whole time.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
He did a great job. There's a lot of great shots in it too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah. Really great. Like Americana. Yeah. That kind of shit.
So we start in 1938, where a kid is narrating and he's opening up a Superman comic book. And funny enough, this is not in any of the scripts. This was actually Richard Donner's idea to go.
This is the original. Okay, this is a Puzo. Okay, what version of the script is this?
I'm talking about the movie.
Oh, this. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. It's been a while. So yes, probably should have rewatched it for this, but yes, he's opening up a fucking comic.
We have multiple parts to this series. Anyway,
yes.
Time. But yeah, the kid's opening up the comic book.
Yeah.
And we sort of go into the world of the comic book, and that was sort of Donner's idea. We're literally transported into a comic. On that, but that was actually not how it was originally written. In both the Benton-Newman script and the Mankiewicz script, we were supposed to just see a 1938 Metropolis. Metropolis in the Great Depression, what the Daily Planet looks like, and it looks a little bit more like Fleischer-esque in terms of like very old school, not quite like the one that we see in the actual movie. And we were supposed to see a couple with a baby of a very young, a very young couple with a baby, which would pay off a little later.
The Kents?
Not the Kents, no, because this is around the same time that Krypton first explodes, and then it takes some time for it to show up later. But we would go from the Daily Planet building and all the Great Depression of Metropolis up to Krypton.
Oh shit!
And then the whole sequence with Krypton would happen, and after Krypton exploded, then the credits would show up. That was in the original scripts.
That's wild.
That's
pretty
weird,
cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool though.
So, but that's not what we got in the movie.
An homage.
Yeah. In the movie, we got Daily Planet going up to the stars, and suddenly, dun 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 dun, dun, and then John Williams plus a title sequence that is brought to us by a man named Richard Greenberg.
Okay. Oh yeah, most expensive at the time, right?
Names going up to the front. I think so. I would like to think so.
I remember hearing this.
Okay.
It was a very expensive opening credits.
It is. It does. So it actually comes from the teaser trailer that they did.
Okay.
So the teaser trailer for Superman does not actually feature any footage from the movie. What it was stock footage from the nose of a plane in the clouds.
Oh shit!
With a feeling of flying, and all I did was, I think Greenberg came up with the idea. Well, what if it was just the names of each star coming up to you?
Oh shit!
So if you look at it, and it doesn't even have the John Williams theme because John Williams hadn't signed on at that point. So it's just you're in the clouds as shot by a plane, and then it says Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Christopher Reeve, who you have no idea who.
You're
the hell
welcome,
that is.
motherfucker.
Yeah. And then at the end, it's just the Superman. It's not even the movie logo; it's the comic book logo. That's like all colorful.
They didn't have a movie logo, probably.
Not yet. It did not have the whole blue.
All kinds are like, it's coming. Don't you worry.
It's very much it's not the blue lettering from the movie. It's it's literally just what was in the comic, and so it's an interesting look at. By the way,
the Salkinds.
Yeah,
you want to do a little corrections department on this?
Sure, let's do this. Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually kind of complicated, and they're apparently, as far as what I remember, Russian Jew descent, born I don't know where, but I think raised in Paris, and then ended up in Mexico or something, and like I think Russian Jew, but like kind of all over the place.
Right. I think Ilya at least has the Mexican blood. It doesn't sound like his father did.
Okay. Yeah. So, I think so. But yeah, their backstory in and of themselves is pretty crazy, and they have some relationship with Zsa Zsa Gabor or something.
I'm sure.
They were old, and I kept asking in the last episode where they get their money. Their money is just from being in the Hollywood game for a long time.
That's what I figured.
They were old school Hollywood producers.
That's what I figured.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, now we know.
Yeah.
So let's see. So that's the classic title sequence with John Williams, and we covered again the story of how John Williams got signed on and came up with the Superman theme in part 1. But then we get to Krypton, and this is where a term comes in that I thought would be important to introduce, and you guys who have followed this movie before have heard of it, and it's the term verisimilitude.
Yeah, I've heard this.
And Donner even has the words verisimilitude with a graphic of Superman.
Yeah,
in like his office or something, or it was hung up.
This
somewhere.
was smart of him.
But he said it's quote the appearance of being true or real. So like pre-Nolan, pre-Burton, and anything like that. This was the first time where the guy's like, I want to make it believable. I want it to feel like a real world, even though it's not actually a real world. But I want it to feel that way.
It's weird because now we live in a genre world where all the major shit is genre, and they all have verisimilitude. But probably at this point in time, they didn't have it that much because genre stuff wasn't quite that big, and the whole idea of like a movie setting up its rules and then following by its own rules and not necessarily the rules of reality was new at the time. And Donner, I think, gets all the credit for this one, right?
Yeah.
For this aspect. I like nerds, especially like look at Tolkien, all this shit. Like nerd stuff, genre stuff always has like verisimilitude. It's its own internal rule book. It's like if Han Solo were to use the Force out of someone, people are like, what? That's kind of a slightly different point, but anyway, I think that stuff's kind of all connected. Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
and how you set up your own little internal reality in that, and it doesn't have to be super realistic, and I think that was pulled off well in this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you feel that it's a different world from just like 12 years earlier in Batman 66. Robin would be like, it happened at sea. C for Catwoman, and suddenly like that's an actual legit conclusion.
Robin is figuring out all the clues, especially in the first Adam West Batman. Adam West Batman episode.
So this is also why the first line from a character is Jor-El's opening line, written by Tom Mankiewicz, saying, "This is no fantasy, no careless product of wild imagination. That's actually a meta commentary."
That's amazing.
Movie. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's cool.
That's all from Mankiewicz. That was not in the Benton-Newman draft.
They're meta as fuck back in the day.
Thank you, Mankiewicz.
Yeah,
it is because he was commenting in the movie. He's commenting on how Zod was doing an insurrection on the people of Krypton. But in the beginning, it's kind of to get you into like this is a real world.
Right.
This is the real world of Krypton. Krypton's a real thing.
Right.
Now that you are sitting your butts in your seats and you've paid us to watch this movie. So
all you nerds in '78.
Yep. So this movie fundamentally changed the look and appearance of Krypton and Jor-El, I would say.
What did it look like before that? Forgive
Krypton
my lack of Superman comic.
I would say Krypton looked very much like how you would expect a classic 1940s, planet to look like, sci-fi planet.
Oh, okay.
Colors, like very colorful.
They always had the fucking the thing on their head too. They had like a tiara looking thing.
Yeah, and Jor-El had one. Jor-El had a headband himself. He had like a green outfit with like a yellow sun logo on his chest. And like it's very different. I don't think we've seen a live action version of that ever.
It's on the New 52 cover, Superman 0 or something.
Yeah, but that's always been in the comics. I don't even think I can't even think. It was not used in the Superman the Animated Series in the 90s either.
I don't think so. But they had their own little suits, but it wasn't green. I think it was blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Or red or so. But Krypton was more colorful. But here it's mostly ice and crystals, probably because they're like, Fortress of Solitude, at least with the ice stuff.
Yeah.
Because again, Fortress of Solitude wasn't really crystal-like either.
It was always in like the North Pole.
It was always in the Arctic, except it was like hidden in a wall of the mountain. It wasn't like its own thing. You would only know it was Superman's because there was a giant keyhole, and only Superman could lift the key in order to insert the key, insert it into the keyhole.
They should go back to that.
It was referenced in Supergirl, actually.
Oh yeah.
She takes, I think she takes the Martian Manhunter up to the Fortress of Solitude.
Okay.
It's not a giant key though, but it's like a key that only she is strong enough to lift, or only Kryptonian is strong enough to lift.
Yeah.
And put into the keyhole. But still, like it's a nice idea.
When we get in Beppo though, that's the question.
Superman 3.
Super Monkey.
Super Monkey spin-off. Let's see. But yeah, it's meant to reflect Krypton a little more.
Yeah,
both the Fortress of Solitude and stuff. And it makes sense because like Lex Luthor in Superman 2 just fucking walks into the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah. He's just showing up with his bell bottoms on.
Yeah, so...
Or, it was sort of bell bottom to me. Yeah.
But Jor-El, again, green outfit, headband, and he had the black hair of Superman.
Okay.
So here's where things changed with Jor-El, because Donner came up with the idea, well, Superman's got the spit curl, which you can see on this toy here, if you're watching the YouTube version.
Yes.
And Donner wanted to carry that over to Jor-El. So Brandon kind of has that.
Okay.
And they gave him the white wig because he's supposed to be Superman's dad, so make him look a little older and distinguished.
Yeah, for sure.
Brando originally did not want to do the spit curl, but I guess he warmed up to it after he read the script, or at least began to appreciate more of what they were trying to do.
Donner was probably like, "Hey, let's go have a talk with your kids again. Let's just see what they think.
Exactly.
Just what are they going to think about this?"
Yeah.
That was like, I bet as soon as Donner figured that part out, he was probably like,
just pull that trigger.
Your kids are going to be like on set, right?
Yeah.
just so I need to always like fill you with my ideas.
But it was also a big significant thing here is Tom Mankiewicz comes up with the idea of, hey, what's weird about the Superman lore is Superman shows up in this outfit with the S already on his chest, and then people call him Superman.
That's the thing, man. I cannot believe. I know what you're about to say.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this is this late in the game. I thought that this was earlier.
Nope, it comes from Tom Mankiewicz, where he's just like, well, there has to be a reason why there's an S on his chest in the first place.
Yeah.
In order for them to then call him Superman. So what if that was the family crest?
It's incredible. This is an amazing idea.
Yeah.
Much better than the edition of Man of Steel where he's got the codex of all Kryptonian in him. I don't like that. We'll get to Man of Steel eventually.
In a while, yeah.
But they're trying to make their own idea, and I like this one more.
Right. Well, this is the precursor to the idea of it's not an S. This is the precursor to the idea that that's a Kryptonian sign, and this is carried over into all the major adaptations afterwards. So we saw that in the Superboy show even fucking had this. Lois and Clark did this. Smallville had this. Man of Steel definitely carried that over. Like
the
this
trailer
all stems from Mankiewicz being like, you know what? I got to explain this.
Yeah.
If you think about it, though, he could have just had Superman without the S in the beginning. Then he's called Superman, then put the S on it. But he wanted to give a different reason that I think adds a lot more to the mythology there.
I mean, I like it. It does sound ridiculous at first, but I've said this before in a previous episode. It's a squiggly line, ultimately.
Yeah.
And that could be found in any writing system, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said that last time, there's a symbol in Japanese that looks like a backwards E.
Mm-hmm.
It means yo, that's how you say it. But so like, I mean, yes, it does mean Superman. That's the original idea of it.
Yeah.
But them kind of changing this around, it makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's fun mythology, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun mythology.
It is, yeah. And so is the idea also that comes from this movie that the Superman outfit comes he gets the costume from Krypton.
Okay.
And comes from this movie because
it's usually the mother sewing it or something.
His mother sews it in both the 40s serial and the George Reeves show.
Okay.
I checked this out beforehand just to make sure that was not a thing. And lo and behold, that's not sure they have the idea. The idea is already there that his costume's indestructible because of the blankets from Krypton.
Yeah.
That was already in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, that's cool.
But here's where he actually, from what we see in this movie, he goes into the Fortress of Solitude as a young Clark Kent, as Jeff East, the actor, and he comes out as Christopher Reeve with this outfit. So you gotta assume that he got it from the Fortress. So and of course that happens again in Smallville. It happened again in Man of Steel. Again, Man of Steel did take a lot from Superman the movie. I know a lot of people say like, "Oh, Snyder did his own thing." I'm like, he did, but he also, he still did get influenced by the Donner version.
There's some shots, I think maybe in BVS or something where it's just like Superman just hugging his family, and I've seen like memes like this is Superman, and it's like this is Snyder, but this is Superman. This shot at least is Superman as fuck. Yeah, and he definitely got some things right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when Jor-El's being introduced, he's prosecuting the Phantom Zone villains, who we'll see again.
Just the word. 2. I love the words Phantom Zone.
Phantom Zone.
It's just so good. Like that again, vintage sci-fi bullshit. It's just great.
Yeah. So the biggest one is General Zod, of course.
Of course, yeah.
The second most used villain in Superman movies or Superman lore.
Gotta get past him eventually.
Yeah,
Gotta get past him.
But just real quick, we're gonna go a lot more into them when we get into Superman 2. But the look of Zod completely gets changed due to this movie too.
Oh,
So,
yeah, he was different before, huh?
Zod in the
that's
comics
right.
very much looked like Bison from Street Fighter. He did not have a beard, and he had like the hat and the uniform.
That's awesome.
That was General
awesome.
Zod during a decade.
Let's go back to that. But instead of the hat with that Bison has, give him the fucking tiara. that sounds incredible, man.
Yeah. So,
oh shit.
Terrence Stamp is the reason why we got the beard for Zod. If there's actually a character named I think it's pronounced Quexel, like pretzel. But there's another Phantom Zone criminal named Quexel who has like the beard and goatee stuff.
Oh, and this is from the comic.
That's from the comic from before the movie. So if he looks at like anybody, he's like that. I don't know if that's a deliberate reference, but I just thought that was interesting because if you look at the Superman comics before this movie, there are a few about the Phantom Zone villains, and it's usually they're in a group. It's not just one. It's not just General Zod.
I think also because of evil Spock in Star Trek.
Oh yeah,
there's this precedent of evil characters having a goatee for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But if you look into like one of the comics that has both Quexel and General Zod, and you're like, hey, point out General Zod, you'll probably point to Quexel first just because you recognize the beard.
Yeah.
Technically in the comic, that's not who it is.
Okay. Is it a full beard though, not a goatee?
It looks a little bit more like a goatee.
Is it looking more like a Errol Flynn Arrow?
It's a little bit, it's a little bit
Green
more,
Arrow-ish?
Yeah, it's a little bit more like that.
Okay.
So, let's see. They do reference the fact that Zod wanted to take over sort of the Kryptonian Council, which actually is true to the comic. So General Zod first appeared in Adventure Comics 283 called The Phantom Superboy, where Superboy, basically young Superman, found out that there was this thing called the Phantom Zone, and this guy named General Zod tried to take over, and he got caught and sent into the Phantom Zone.
Right.
That was the main idea of it. So
prison dimension.
They were true to that. It was not this giant mirror thing though. That's another thing that comes from Donner specifically.
That's cool though. I like that they did. I like that addition.
It was like a projector thing that you would basically capture them. You would turn on, they would get sucked into it, and then
it was like a Ghostbusters thing.
Yeah, almost like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how they did it.
That's interesting.
The other Phantom Zone villains are not in the comics at that time. So Non, the henchman, who's sort of a quote-unquote mindless brute, I think is what Jor-El calls him.
And Feora.
And, Ursa. Ursa's probably based off of Feora.
Oh,
honestly.
okay.
So Non was not really based off of anybody. However, he did show up in the comics later on when Geoff Johns did a comic book with Richard Donner called Last Son, where they incorporated the Phantom Zone villains.
Okay, that's cool.
So
Donner did the comic.
He did a comic with Geoff Johns, yeah. So we can cover that in a very much deeper dive Patreon in the future.
There's I looked up because I've been on a Superman kick lately, but I looked up Cavill's top Superman runs. It's pretty famous that he loves Red Sun.
Yeah,
that's Elseworlds, you know. I mean, it's a good one, but he also liked The Search for Kryptonite. I want to read that one. It's a Batman Superman story too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that
around New 52 era or something. I can't remember.
We'll have to check that one out.
It was like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Sounds cool, though.
Yeah.
As I said, Ursa does seem to be based off of Feora, because Feora is like the only female Phantom Zone villain.
Yeah.
And there's some similar beats. I couldn't find an explanation in terms of why she wasn't just named Feora. Maybe they just didn't know of her existence.
It just rewrites people not giving a shit, probably. You know what I mean? Like we don't even say her name, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
there was also going to be a fourth Phantom Zone criminal in the Benton-Newman draft, which would have meant that we would have gotten an additional villain in Superman 2. Or I think they did, actually.
Another, like, Zod crony?
Yeah. His name, apparently he's from the House of L. His name was Jack L, as in Jackal.
I'm from another planet. What's your name?
Jackal.
Jack.
The twisted, mocking grin of Jack L is what's described in the script.
Superman's like, I'm going to toss you into Gotham. You just sound like that other guy.
Why so serious, Superman?
Batman's like, I need a kryptonite to deal with this.
So, yes. This opening of Jor-El sending the Phantom Zone criminals into that zone is from Mankiewicz in the original Benton-Newman script.
Okay.
You just saw them in the Phantom Zone, but you weren't really introduced to them in the same way.
Okay.
So this is all Mankiewicz, especially the whole like there's no fantasy line.
Okay.
But all the stuff where Zod is like, you will bow down before me.
Bow before Zod. Is that that's
kneel
a
before
stamp?
Zod.
That's a stamp creation.
That is a Tom Mankiewicz creation.
Oh shit!
I
So
know.
that's really famous, man.
Yeah, I know because I asked him myself. So I did.
Oh, that's right.
I
You
did.
told me this.
Yes. So I described this in a previous deep dive episode, the one where we were talking about the Tom Mankiewicz Batman script.
Yeah.
But Tom Mankiewicz showed up at my school once to talk about the James Bond movies because he wrote a few of the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
And afterwards, you can go up and talk to them, especially because like the people they brought were like very much older people who weren't currently working. So like if they brought in Daniel Craig, there's no fucking way they would let you like go up and talk to him. But like
Tom Mankiewicz.
it's Tom Mankiewicz. So like I asked him to sign. I think it was just the program stuff, and I brought up to him like, I have to ask you a question. Who came up with the line "kneel before Zod"? And he's like, me.
Wow, straight from the source.
Straight from the source.
Yeah. That's cool.
So that's
cool.
That was a great moment as well in my film school days in terms of meeting people, because it's not somebody who a lot of people would crowd around.
Right.
But to me, it meant something because I had read, the Batman script that he did.
You were lucky going to film school in California, man. I went to film school in Georgia. We actually, for some reason, we did have people show up. I never met them, but I mean, Ebert showed up.
Oh, nice.
Alec Baldwin showed up. I hold the door open for him, actually.
Coffees for closers only.
Yeah. And then, God, a few other people. John Waters. Anyway,
nice.
It was interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do notice, and this all gets me every time, Terrence Stamp slips. He goes from very posh, like, the vote is unanimous, Jor-El, to a very, like, northern Cockney accent.
Oh, yeah.
When he starts getting louder and louder. Where he's
his true self.
And then one day, your ass, which always sounded like he said your ass.
Yeah,
to
right,
me.
right. Your ass.
Your ass. And I'm like, I don't know if Donner just kept it because he liked the idea of Zod getting more unhinged and his true colors coming out, or if that was just the only take they could do that day. But like, it's
dude, probably maybe some people don't notice accents too well, especially if American noticing difference in British accents.
Right.
Maybe that's it. Some people are pretty bad at that.
Yes. So they're like, he still sounds British.
Yeah.
So it worked. So yeah. Also, obviously, the first time that Zod was seen as a British dude, because that carried over into a lot of other adaptations. Obviously, not Man of Steel, but we very much here. If you were to do a Zod adaptation, most people would just have him with the beard, with the British accent, saying "kneel before Zod."
His second most famous line now is "I will find him."
Oh yeah,
I will find him.
Thanks to Michael Shannon. Yes,
that's Michael Shannon's claim to fame now. Which, I mean, again, he's in Man of Steel.
Yeah,
but he was pretty fucking good in that role, I thought.
Oh yeah,
Michael Shannon is a fucking solid fucking actor.
No, he's great. I wish there was more of him. The way the Phantom Zone comes in to suck in the trio villains was actually inspired by a cereal commercial, according to Donner.
Shit.
I don't know what specific cereal commercial, but I guess he thought it was a cool effect, and so he was like, "Let's do it like this."
Okay, there was an effect. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So then afterwards, Jor-El goes to the council to convince them Krypton is doomed. We've seen this many times. It's very relevant to 2020. I feel like Dr. Fauci is the new Jor-El or something.
Yeah, like people used to be like, why do they listen to their scientists? And now everybody gets it.
Exactly.
Everybody, especially when it comes to like climate, saving the planet kind of stuff. Like, dude, I don't know what they had a crystal ball. They had their own wizard. Yeah. And then the wizard was with Siegel and Schuster.
Yeah.
Telling them about the future, like when they made, or when Bill Finger made that part up. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole Kryptonian scientist aspect of it.
And I don't know if I've said this online, but usually, and this is for me personally, I don't actually give that much of a shit about Krypton in a lot of these adaptations.
We talked about this off air.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it myself.
Yeah.
We're going to disagree on this aspect, I think, but it's just something kind of like fun sci-fi about it that I like. Its own world building. I am there for Superman, of course.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know. I like it. It's just part of the mix.
I get it. And to me, it's relevant when it's like, if you bring Supergirl in or Zod in, like that makes sense. But I think for me personally, I'm just like, your main purpose, Krypton, is for you to blow up. like story
Well,
wise.
it's an impetus for them to send off their son.
Yeah, but then I'm just like, do I even need to see that so much? Because like really, like Clark's gonna rediscover that. Basically, like sometimes I'm tired of having to watch about 20 to 30 minutes of the same shit of Jor-El trying to tell these people that Krypton is doomed. They say no.
It's like Batman's parents getting shot.
I know, but at least Batman's parents getting shot is one scene.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
With different variations of the killers. Here it's like always like at most like a different reson why Krypton explodes. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. They still explode.
I get it. I can understand your point of view, but I don't know. I thought that was. We're gonna get back to the real story in a minute.
Right.
But I liked. Snyder said that one of his influences for his Krypton was Heavy Metal Magazine, and if you like Heavy Metal Magazine is not just about the music; it's like a lot of like R-rated comics, a lot of sci-fi comics for adults, and there is a lot of like world building in those comics, and I can see where he's coming from in that, and I think that's one of the things that Snyder kind of shined in Man of Steel was that part. The thing I didn't like though, of course, was the fucking was the Codex shit. I don't need the Codex thing.
I honestly forgot about the Codex shit
until
you brought it up.
I haven't. Like him having all of the Kryptonian DNA in him. We don't need that. Were they trying to repopulate another planet with him? What was the end goal there? It's just stupid to me.
I never really like it when they make a character more special. You know what I mean? Than they already
special
are.
Enough.
Yeah, he's special enough. I'm like,
supposedly the last of his fucking kind until Supergirl shows up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh, dude, there's just some things in that movie, and again, I liked it. It affected me in my weird point in my life.
Yeah.
But there's obviously got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll circle back to that later.
But what I was saying is that usually I don't give a shit about Krypton, but after rewatching these different versions, I'm kind of like more emotionally invested with this idea of like nobody listens to science. I'm like, okay, you know what? As a kid, I didn't give a shit, but now I'm like, this actually does feel very relevant.
It's all part of it. It's all part of it. Yeah.
So in the Benton-Newman draft, it was originally going to be a more traditional setup with the council seated around a table as they were talking about this. But I think maybe they thought that was too cliche because both the Superman serial from 1948 and the George Reeves pilot have the same exact setup of them around a table.
Oh, wow.
Jor-El stands up, tells them his findings. Everyone else laughs at him like it's... Like they blend together in my brain because they're done pretty much the same exact way.
Yeah, they weren't that creative.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. They didn't have a budget. That's
in the serial standpoint.
That's really what it was.
In the serial standpoint, they were just trying to follow what was in the goddamn comic.
Batman's driving around a goddamn sedan in his serials.
His convertible, yeah.
They were trying their best.
Also, we were supposed to see like Jor-El's calculations of calculating that Krypton is doomed.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't think we saw in the movie, or at least if it was there, it's supposed to be represented by like the crystals moving up and down that they're supposed to read. But
another thing, too, about the whole Krypton thing, a scientist saving the day, a scientist being a hero or trying to be, generally they're, a lot of times the scientists, especially in like disaster movies because the planet's exploding, they're kind of sideline characters. They're warning people, but people don't listen. Well, I guess it's kind of the same thing. But at least in those scenes, Jor-El's like the main guy.
Yeah, he's not a side character who you think is going crazy.
Like I don't know, I can't think of a good example, but like I feel like they're a little bit more ancillary in other movies.
Got it.
So I think for me, there's just something cool about science being held in such high esteem, high regard in those scenes. You know what I mean? I think that to me, that speaks to me. I think that stuff is cool.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. There is a female scientist named Vonda who shows up who disproves Jor-El's findings. Originally, her name was Vondell in Benton-Newman's draft, which makes me think, is that another member of the House of L? Or because this is the same draft that had Jack L. and
the House of L has those cousins they don't like.
I'm just wondering if Benton
they're not all in agreement.
I'm wondering if they pre-planned that they're from the same family, or if they're just like, everybody's last name is L.
Oh, how's Thanksgiving at the Wan house? That's what I want to know. You guys all agreeing on everything?
Your findings have disproven.
Dude, I don't go home for Christmas, bro. I can't go.
Well, not these days.
I go home for Christmas. I skip Thanksgiving. Christmas is enough.
But yeah, Jor-El is forbidden from spreading his theories or attempting to leave the planet, or else he will be executed or arrested. So they do have in the it's not really in the theatrical cut, but it is in the director's cut in the 3-hour version. A stormtrooper-looking dude who's being sent out to basically assassinate Jor-El.
God, did I see that cut?
I don't know. But I'm just bringing that up in case the people who are listening have only seen the theatrical version.
Yeah, I saw the long one, I think.
I don't know.
Right, yeah, all right.
But
a
he's
stormtrooper-looking guy?
Kind of a stormtrooper-looking dude. He's got like a giant hood thing and 2 eye slits.
God, that's somewhat, it's vaguely familiar. Yeah.
He doesn't have a big role in it.
Yeah.
But then we go to the House of L, where they're going to send off Clark, or Kal-El at this point. Yeah. And Marlon Brando is clearly reading off cue cards. So
Krypton. This is when he says Krypton, right?
Krypton. I was paid $19 million to call it Krypton.
They wrote it on the fucking kid's diaper, right?
It was on the diaper. It was on the like. There's a time where he's like fiddling around with the crystal while he's looking down like this, and Laura's talking to them, and he's like, "He will not be alone. He will never be." He's like clearly reading it off here. Apparently, according to Robert Duvall on the set of The Godfather, they would like have this guy holding the cards of his dialogue so he could read it off, and then at one point it was blocked, and Marlon Brando in character like, he's like looking up.
Dude, I guess he was just so done. I wonder what made him so done with it all.
Well, he claims that he reads it. He doesn't want to read anything beforehand. He feels like it's more his performance is more authentic on first read of the lines.
That is some fucking God. You ever seen Futurama Calculon? Calculon does it in one take. Something like that. We used to make fun of that in film school.
Yeah. There is also a disparity in what Jor-El says to Kal-El compared to Lara, because Jor-El has this long monologue that Tom Mankiewicz and Benton-Newman gave him. Okay. And Lara doesn't say anything as the ship goes off. And Susanna York, who played Lara, complained about it, saying, quote unquote, she doesn't say dick to Kal-El. And apparently she was very pissed, and she came to Tom Mankiewicz about it, and Tom Mankiewicz was like, unfortunately, unless you're also being paid $3.7 million to just sit on your ass on the set, I can't give you a monologue like that.
Wow, so she was like technically an extra? Featured extra?
She was pretty much an extra. I mean, a majority of the time, Lara feels like an extra, I guess, because Jor-El's like, he's the scientist, he already has that previous scene, and then her main job, or at least... I don't know, in the radio version as well as I think the serial version, definitely in the Reeve, George Reeves series, she's the one who has the idea, no, we should put the baby in the rocket. Because Jor-El
she has some agency.
Yeah, Jor-El in the radio series is like, you should go because you're the love of my life, I want you to survive. And she's like, no, if anybody should go, it's the child.
Okay.
And we'll stay here together.
Okay.
So, but that's not in here at all. She has like barely any lines, and this unfortunately sort of started what I see as this sort of continuation of that in modern superhero movies that you see sometimes. Notice how we brought this up in our Batman Begins deep dive, where I was just like, we know Thomas Wayne is like a doctor and entrepreneur and started Wayne Enterprises, and then what do we know about Martha?
Nothing. They gave her more later on.
At most, they gave her the whole name thing in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
In the comics, they gave her more stuff, but I'm talking about purely the movies. Okay. And then like Iron Man, clearly the stuff about his dad has been there since day one in the movies, but then we didn't even get to know his mom until Civil War, like 8 years after the first Iron Man movie.
Superman or superheroes are daddy's boys.
Have daddy issues, yeah.
Really.
So, but this sort of started that disparity here.
Okay.
In the Benton-Newman draft, it's very interesting because apparently Lara has been reading on the archives, and she experiences a feeling that is foreign to Jor-El, which is labeled as love. So this kind of promotes the idea of Krypton being a very sterile world, sterile environment where love does not exist. But Lara is capable of it, and it's carried over into like the John Byrne Man of Steel comics, as well as the Man of Steel movie, of course.
Dude, I watched this little thing on a woman that escaped North Korea, and she was saying that they don't talk about it there at all. And one of the movies that was snuck in was Titanic, and she just said something like she'd never felt that kind of feeling before. She didn't know this was like an emotion. Like, so it's actually not even that far-fetched, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably cheesy in this script, but that shit apparently exists.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could see it. I feel like sometimes it's probably more believable on an alien world.
Yeah.
Funny enough, than in another country, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Okay, so they're trying to. The world building here is that they're very sterile, scientific. But they don't listen to some of their scientists.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
don't.
still makes sense though. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah. So the council recognizes there's this surge of energy coming from Jor-El's place, and they send the stormtrooper-looking guy over.
Okay.
In the original draft, though, by Benton-Newman, and ties over to the Mankiewicz, there's 3 stormtrooper guys, and we follow them into a police car as they go on the way to the House of El. But then, like, because of all the rubble and stuff, it gets crushed. So
This was not in the movie, right?
this is not the police car thing. At most, in the 3-hour version, you see like the reflection on the guy's helmet as he's like on the way, and then he gets killed by the debris and stuff.
I wonder if that was shot and not in either version. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where I'm like, it's a cool idea, but because this is like Krypton's last moments, is not really that necessary because they're all gonna die anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't really need that.
Originally in the movie, we see he just launches it, they watch, and it like crashes through the ceiling, and you hear the John Williams Superman theme.
Right.
In the original version, however, it was going to be more dramatic, where like there's rubble falling on them, and Jor-El has to like run through the rubble just to hit the button in order for it to go up. So
Marlon Brando's not doing that.
He's like, I don't want to run. I don't like running.
I need pants to run.
But then Krypton explodes, and that's where the credits were meant to be.
Okay, yeah,
So
it makes sense to me.
We are off Krypton, and that is the first half of our episode today.
Damn,
Come
all
back
right.
from the break, and we are going to go into all the Smallville scenes.
So,
Yes, Bruce?
Elmer Fudd, is it?
Yes, that's my name.
You have good style. There's just one thing I object to. The gun.
Well, Bruce, you need the gun to kill the wabbit.
The rabbit?
Yeah, the wabbit.
Is that a mob boss?
I've been hunting him for 87 years.
87? Jesus, man, how old are you?
Don't worry about that. Looney Tunes last a long time, Bruce.
Do you have the secret to the Lazarus Pit or something? Do you know Ra's al Ghul?
Lazarus Pit? I don't know anything about no Lazarus Pit. All I want to do is kill the wabbit.
Okay, tell me more about this rabbit.
Well, all I know is I want to kill the wabbit. Even when it's duck season, I still want to kill the wabbit. He's always getting away, that wascally wabbit.
Wait a minute, we're not talking about a mob boss nicknamed the Rabbit here. We're talking about an actual rabbit?
An actual wabbit, Bruce.
Okay, so I get it. You're a hunter then.
I'm a hunter, Bruce.
Okay, I guess I was just making sure that you weren't actually killing humans. I seem to draw the line at killing only when it comes to humans.
Oh.
Aliens and animals seem to be okay.
Oh, I kill humans too, but right now I'm going after the wabbit.
Wait, so you've killed humans before?
Ah, don't worry about it. A lot of things happen in the 30s.
I'm Batman. I'm supposed to worry about people killing humans. Who have you killed?
I can't remember.
Oh, that's right. You're a senior citizen.
Forget me, Bruce. Why do you hate the gun so much?
Because years ago in the shadows, a man stepped out and gunned down my parents. I swore vengeance on evil for years, and that is why I wear the mantle of the Bat. Hey, how do you know I'm Bruce Wayne?
Gotcha.
All right, everybody, if you like that little preview to the sketch right there, we have that, plus news, plus we're bringing back some opinion pieces and review type stuff and all kinds of stuff in our $5 tier on Patreon. So just go to patreon.com/superherostuffpod, and if you become part of the $5 tier, you can see these new bonus episodes. Basically, consider it Superhouse DLC.
Oh.
Hello, all you putrid little people in podcast land. My name is Oswald Cobblepot, but you can call me Penguin. And right about now, you're listening to Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Gentlemen, start your screaming.
And we're back. So we're going to talk about all the Smallville scenes of Superman the movie, or Superman 78, as we saw. And I thought it'd be fun to start off with what was in the Benton and Newman draft that did not make it in the thing, which is this little part of prose.
As the module gets closer, it seems as if it will surely land in the heart of the Soviet Union, raising the question in the audience's collective mind. For the first time, what would have happened if Superman had been Russian. But just at the last minute, the old Earth takes another spin, and the rocket heads for the dead center of the good old US of A.
So, 1976 or 77 or so, we get foreshadowing of Superman Red Sun.
Such an interesting idea.
Yeah.
You ever read Red Sun, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
It's
one.
solid.
Yeah, it's one of the better Elseworlds.
I haven't seen the animated movie.
I haven't either.
Of it. We'll do a deep dive on that and watch it. But
Yeah.
I thought it was fascinating that we have this weird, just like, what if it's in the Soviet Union? And then, nah, never mind, it's in the United States.
This
I'm like,
visual gag also expects the audience to know geography.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's probably why it was cut. Where they're just like, nobody's gonna get it.
Dude, yeah, right? I think you learn more about geography when you travel and shit, but I don't know, man. Like I've gotten terrible at math in my old age. I'm not great at every subject, but one of the things I think better than a lot of people with geography, and I'm just so surprised how people just don't even fucking know where damn near their own state is a lot of the time. Like there's some people are really, really bad at it. Have you seen the Kimmel? Those like Jimmy Kimmel
I've seen
thing?
those, yeah.
Yeah, it's depressing to me.
All right, question for you and the audience: where is Smallville located?
Kansas.
This was the first time that Smallville was located in Kansas. Is in the Superman movie from 1978.
God damn it! I'm such a noob. You set me up and I fell for it.
No. Well, yeah. The answer is yes. It is in Kansas. However, this was the first time that they said so.
It was like a Gotham kind of thing. It wasn't really ever said.
It wasn't really ever said until now. Apparently, in 1977, there was a fanzine called Amazing World of DC Comics, number 14, that said that Smallville was in Maryland.
Wow.
So this is a year before the movie is released. They're saying this fanzine is saying it's a completely different state.
Okay.
But this movie comes out, and suddenly it's part of popular culture that Smallville is in Kansas, even though there's nothing in any of the Superboy comics and stuff that showed Smallville that said it was in Kansas.
I can see this being purposefully ambiguous. Smallville, the name.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of like an Anytown, USA kind of vibe.
Yeah,
I think that's what the original idea was. Yeah. But them going more specific because it's a movie, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Kansas loved it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kansas loves it to this day. Also, Henry Cavill, now, because he's British, he just arbitrarily chooses to root for Kansas teams.
Oh.
Like when the Kansas City Chiefs won or
Yeah.
something, like he was on his on his Instagram and shit. Like
that's kind of cool. Actually.
Yeah. He's like he's going for it.
He's still
That's
in character.
Cool. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, it's a part of his life that affected him. I'm sure.
Also fits when tornadoes show up. In this world, which apparently is
right.
It's in the 1948 Superman serial.
Oh, it is.
Clark saves his dad from a tornado, which is fucking more than Henry Cavill
saves
did.
him. Yeah, I know. That's another. Oh man.
We'll go into that.
I can't let that one go, man. That's a bad one.
This is also the first adaptation with the names of Jonathan and Martha Kent.
He lets his dad die because his dad was okay with all those kids dying. Should I let him die? Maybe. Oh God. Let's move on. I can't. It's still the taste is
All right. So previous versions in the serial, the 1948 serial, and the George Reeves show, it was Sarah and Eben Kent.
Yeah, Eben. Apparently, maybe Eben.
It was pronounced Eben in the version I saw.
The audio book I'm listening to said Eben, but it could be Eben. How's it spelled actually?
E-B-E-N.
Okay.
Basically, my name with an E in front of it.
I wonder if it's like religious or something. You know what I mean?
Maybe
in the Torah or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
I don't know. But this is the first time they were called Jonathan and Martha Kent in an adaptation.
Yeah.
There's a long history, however, so I'll go in a little bit of it, where sort of the evolution of the Kent names. Yeah. So apparently, this comes from a 1942 Superman novel called The Adventures of Superman by George Lothar. It comes up with the idea of Eben and Sarah Kent.
Okay.
So it comes from a novel, and that sort of carries over into, of course, the serial and the television series.
Okay.
However, in 1948, around the same time as the serial, in Superman number 53, they came up with the idea that their names are John and Mary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here, they also say that Clark is Mary Kent's maiden name. Which is where they got the Clark from.
Okay. I got a friend that did that exact thing.
Yeah.
Named his son after his wife's maiden name.
It makes sense in this case.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jonathan is first named in terms of the full name Jonathan, not just John, in 1950 in Adventure Comics number 149. And then Ma Kent is named Marthe, M-A-R-T-H-E,
Martha.
in Superboy number 12.
Rolls off the tongue.
And then it becomes Martha in subsequent appearances, and that's becomes the birth of Martha in the 1950s, because I don't think it wasn't until 1948 either that Bruce Wayne's mom was identified as Martha Wayne.
Okay.
So late, by the time we get to 1951, basically, is when
they're both Martha.
Both moms are named Martha.
But it was Martha ever with Eben?
No. Eben was deleted from here, except for the time that they did in the George Reeves show.
Oh, okay.
It's confusing because the comics at that point did make it Jonathan and Martha Kent, but that was such a new change. That they didn't incorporate.
The older guys watching George Reeves Superman were like, "That's not my Superman." Like, it's a whole fucking like montage you could make of this shit.
Yeah. So apparently, when they did the different multiverses, Earth 1 had Jonathan and Martha Kent, but then they decided to stick to John and Mary Kent for Earth 2.
Okay.
Eben and Sarah were completely erased from existence, it looks like.
Eben's gone.
Eben's gone completely. The last time we got an Eben Kent was the George Reeves show.
Okay.
Which we'll go into at some other time. But anyway, as I talked about in part 1, the Ilya Salkind's mother-in-law, Phyllis Thaxter, is playing Martha Kent in this movie.
Okay.
Which is cool. And then Glenn Ford.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Glenn Ford, classic actor from the westerns and everything, plays Jonathan Kent. Great casting, I think.
Yeah, he was good.
He was solid. He was good. He's the standard for Jonathan Kent that led into John Schneider in the Smallville series, who I think is also probably the next big favorite in this role.
Right.
And then, of course, Kevin Costner in the Snyder movies.
Costner, he just had bad lines, but he was a good pick.
No, he was a good pick.
He was solid as hell. It's just, it was, actors are often victims of their own movie.
He's actually in a modern Western movie with Diane Lane as his wife.
Oh, it's I've heard. Yes,
feels like an alternate universe version of the Kents.
Yeah,
Bradley Stryker's in it,
and then also Ben Affleck's with her in Hollywoodland.
Oh, yeah,
right. Yeah, it's all wild.
That's why he decided to save her in Batman v Superman.
So in these scenes, there is one, like, I don't know if you want to call it philosophical, or it shows at least some of the internal struggles a young Clark has when he says, "Is a bird showing off when it flies?" Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think there's... I feel like it shows that the writer cared, I think. You know what I mean? Like, they could have just gone straight to the action, but they wanted to have this moment. This is a character moment, I think.
You can thank Mankiewicz for that one.
Mankiewicz did that one.
Mankiewicz definitely did that one.
Yeah, that was a good addition, I think. That really, like, what do you call it? It fleshes out this mythology even more.
Right, yeah, because I think all the previous ones, the Kents go from like, oh, you shouldn't show off your powers, to being like, you should use your powers for the benefit of mankind.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah. Never mind. Maybe we should rescue those kids in the bus next time.
You don't have to worry about being caught, really. Yeah. I mean, come on.
You got super speed. Originally, it was going to be very similar to in both the serial and the George Reeves show. They see the ship crash land, and Eben Kent has to rescue the child out of the ship.
Uh-huh.
This is different from the movie, where they show up and just naked Clark is already like this, with his arms up for them to take. But they actually did write it traditionally in the original script, where they go up to it and the ship almost like ejects the baby to them, almost gives it to them, along with the blankets, the red, blue, and yellow blankets, which you actually see in the background in the movie, but they're not really highlighted nearly as much.
Have you ever heard, like, there's like in other iterations, they showed like the Kents have to kind of make up this whole backstory of how they got a baby out of nowhere. Yeah. Like, our cousin or our niece got pregnant illegitimately, and then and she dropped them off, and now we're here to get a social security number or whatever. Like, it's like a whole there's like a whole thing there.
Mm-hmm. No, I think there's also a different explanation in this one about like the similar thing with the cousin. It's from my cousin or from my other side of the family.
Do they say it in this one too?
I don't think it's in the movie, but it's in the script.
Oh yeah,
it's in the script,
the internal logic of it.
There is a funny blooper where Phyllis Thaxter, as Martha, says, "Oh, he hasn't got any family," and the kid actor's like, "Yeah, I do," and then they're just like, "All right, cut. You can't say anything, kid. Like, you don't have any lines."
What's it? Marlon Brando's like, he's not wearing any pants either.
Originally, Clark is named after Martha's uncle, who was a church sexton And Jonathan said he never cared, quote unquote, 2 hoots for that fella.
Oh, wow.
So he's not crazy about the idea of it being named, the boy being named after Clark. He thinks that the boy should be named Jonathan Jr.
Oh, yeah?
The Benton-Newman script. But this got switched to the more comic accurate version of Martha's maiden name being Clark.
Okay.
Which is in the movie because he says, Martha Clark Kent, are you listening to me? And that's how they reveal it.
That's cool.
So that's kind of how that ended up happening. Martha's maiden name being revealed to be Clark, or her middle name really being revealed to be Clark, came from, I guess, an answer to a query or a question. Because at the end of every DC comic, they ask, like, hey, DC editors, here's this question, and they would answer it.
Okay.
And so apparently the editor said her full name is Martha Hudson Clark Kent.
Okay.
In Superman 148.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
wow.
That's where that comes from.
Hudson.
Yes. The next sequence where Clark grows up is completely different in the Mankiewicz in the movie version versus what's in the Benton-Newman draft.
Okay.
So in the Benton-Newman draft, we go to we meet a character named Sheriff Grizzard.
Okay.
He arrives at the Kent farm to let them know about, he found their escaped cow. Their cow escaped from the farm, and he let them know where the cow's from. And we meet Clark Kent doing chores, but he's not Jeff East, the actor who played a teenage Clark. He's a 5th grader. He's a kid who's doing chores, and he's also got the glasses on.
Okay.
And as he's doing this, the sheriff comes in to say hi, and he writes down some notes about the cow, and he puts his pen down, the pen falls over. Okay. And he loses his pen. And when he leaves, Clark notices with his x-ray vision that where the pen is, he gets the pen, but the sheriff's already taken off in the car.
Oh, shit.
So Clark then does the super speed run to get to the sheriff's car in order to return that to him. And that's when he's seen by the girl on the train. Like, that's all in there as well. Yeah. And then Jonathan sees him take off, and he's like, that's my boy. Kind of.
He says kind of?
Yeah, he does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Humor.
This is the Benton-Newman draft with more humor in it. And then later on, his parents talk to him about, like, being careful with his secrets, and, like, people should know about all that. And then when Clark leaves the room, off screen is when Jonathan collapses and has the heart attack.
Oh, yeah.
It would have happened off screen in the Benton-Newman draft.
Right.
So Mankiewicz completely replaces this with Clark Kent in high school.
High school's probably better, I think.
I think so, because it's his struggle is more relatable. Like, he made it more about Clark not being able to fit in.
Yeah.
And the emotional struggles.
It just works better,
as opposed to, like, I think Benton-Newman were very traditional because what they wrote is like what's in the serial and the George Reeves show, where it's like, oh, here's, young actor playing Clark Kent for like 2 scenes, and them telling him, like, you got to keep it, you got to keep it on the down low, and all that. And Mankiewicz is like, what if I just scrap all that and do my own thing with that?
Right.
What's the emotional connection that's going to make us? Because this is really the first time we're meeting Clark as a character,
right? And
we're not going to meet Christopher Reeve until like an hour into this movie,
right?
We're certainly not going to be able to cover him in this podcast today.
He's coming, I swear. He's coming.
Lana Lang is there. She's the cheerleader who he has a crush on, and that's true to the comics. She was a comic character. However, I think that was added later because in the Mankiewicz script, her name is Susie.
Oh, so well, I don't know why they wouldn't do that though.
I think they just didn't know, and then it sounded like they did just like the Martha Clark Kent thing. They did more research, and they're like, "Oh, this seems like it's better to do this instead."
Lana Lang.
Now we get to meet Jeff East, who's our first introduction to Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And here's a little interesting known fact. Jeff East had dyed his hair just like Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
And he has prosthetic makeup on.
Oh, shit.
He has a false nose to look a little bit more like Christopher Reeve. And all of his lines are dubbed by Christopher Reeve.
Really?
You don't actually hear Jeff East's voice in the entire movie. It's Christopher Reeve's voice coming out of Jeff East in all the Smallville scenes.
I usually pick up on that kind of thing.
I think they also might have did something. They might have done something to the voice too on top of that, so it's not as noticeable.
Make an octave higher or something.
Maybe Reeve himself did that because every single time I see it, I know that that's Christopher Reeve's voice.
Yeah,
logically, but that's because I've read about it, not because I recognize it.
Christopher Reeve could just ADR like a motherfucker.
I guess
you know he's in there watching the footage and just fucking copying exactly.
That's what you got from Juilliard.
Juilliard, baby.
Jeff East apparently was not told, just like David Prowse was not told that he was getting dubbed by James Earl Jones in Star Wars.
He wasn't told. I didn't know that.
Prowse did not know.
Wow.
He's like, how come Darth Vader doesn't sound like me?
Surely I'm more evil than him.
Have you seen the footage of David Prowse on set where he does the Darth Vader lines and he's got that thick British accent?
I have seen that, but I didn't know.
I want them alive.
I didn't know that he didn't know that though.
He didn't know that. He didn't know he was going to be replaced by James Earl Jones.
Holy shit, that's hilarious though. But dude, you're fucking Darth Vader. You trained
Yeah.
Superman. You had a whole career, man.
Yeah. So Jeff East did not know that Christopher Reeve was going to be dubbing him until basically pretty close to the release of the movie.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
That did create some conflict. However, he talked to Christopher Reeve, and they sort of made up on that. And according to East, Reeve was concerned that Jeff East's voice was deeper than Christopher Reeve's voice, and that it would cause a disconnect.
Oh, yeah.
And when I heard Jeff East's real voice, at least in the interview, I was like, okay, I can kind of see that because Christopher Reeve doesn't have like Kevin Conroy octaves type of deep voice, and neither does Jeff East. But I could kind of see what he was going for. Like why that would be a reason. In that, so that's the reason why Jeff East was dubbed. That is Christopher Reeve actually acting before we see him in the movie.
God damn, man, I had no idea.
Let's see.
I love these scenes though. I love
they're fantastic.
All the high school Superman scenes. Yeah. It's great.
Let's see. Also, a big change from canon at that time was that there was no instance of him being Superboy, and there was no talk about the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah. So this is something I've discovered recently myself, but just for the audience, the old school iteration is like Superboy is not an extra character. He's Superboy
is young Superman
when he's Superman, and then he's young Superman, which honestly makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
there's less characters, it's less muddled. There's something kind of silly about it. I don't know why it's sillier than anything else in the whole fucking story.
Because he's 6 years old and fighting crime.
Yeah, that's right. But they were for kids. They're kids comics.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Course,
so it's cool. It's fine. But yeah,
and that's how they covered how he first met Lex Luthor. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff and mythology in there.
It wouldn't be good for this though.
No, it wouldn't make sense with the verisimilitude that they're doing, and it wasn't done in previous adaptations either. Like we got to keep that in mind as well. Superboy wasn't around when they first created the serial in 1948.
Yeah,
and then I think by the time we got to the George Reeves show, it's like, well, he's already a grown ass man anyway, so like we don't need to do this.
There's some talk about like how much did he use his powers before he was Superman too, like how much, you know?
Yeah, so we'll have to see.
Like if they wanted Chinese food, would he go to China? You know what I mean?
Like I think when we cover the serial and the TV show, they pretty much wanted to just show you like here's just him preliminarily just using it around the house, and then they're just like go out into the real world and use it, and he's just able to do it. And I think realistically he would need to have he would have a learning curve.
Right.
So,
right.
Superboy does kind of make sense from that instance.
Yeah. But that's true.
That's true. They had no indication of Superboy or the Legion of Superheroes or any of that in this because again I think they wanted to keep it simple. It's the origin.
We don't need a whole fucking Justice League in the first one.
No.
You know what I mean? It would have been cool, but we don't need it. Let's focus.
We did get a scene that was cut where Clark was... Because in the movie, he talks to Lana, and Lana invites him to listen to some records over at the party that they're doing, and then the football player says, like, Clark can't do that. He's busy cleaning after us, and then... Because he wrecked all the shit that was there.
Okay.
But what was written in the script is that off screen, I mean, they go off, and then Clark uses super speed because nobody's seeing it to clean everything up. As opposed to the movie where he kicks the field goal and then he runs off. Also in the script, he starts walking home after he cleans up, and cars keep passing by him, and he gets pissed off about the fact that he missed out on that. And that's why he takes off with the super speed.
Oh shit. Okay.
So that comes out of frustration.
Okay.
So that he's doing the super speed by the train. I've heard rumors about Jeff East like pulling his leg muscles or something off of the stunt, unfortunately. But I think they had him on some sort of wires and a crane thing, so that he's clearly not like running in real life during those sequences. He's just kind of moving it like almost as if he's on an invisible bicycle.
Where's Jeff East now?
What do you mean?
Is he acting? He stopped acting?
I think he stopped acting. I don't think
just did the one role.
He's retired. I mean, he's in other. I think he's in other scenes. I don't think he's. I mean, other movies, but I don't think he has a lot of credits. On this.
All right.
Which is a shame because he did fine as I thought he did great as
he's
young
good.
Clark.
Yeah,
I know majority. We're hearing Christopher Reeve's voice through the line deliveries. But still.
But he didn't know that. He did his best. He was good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
In the theatrical version, we see a little girl peeking out of the train. watching him. However, in the director's cut and in the 3-hour version, she would turn back to her parents to tell them about the fact that she saw a speeding man running as fast as a train.
Right.
And her mom would say, "Lois Lane, you have a writer's gift for invention." So this was supposed to set up that was young Lois. Clark. So we have a few tidbits here on this scene, if you guys have seen it.
Oh, shit.
In the original scripts, the Lanes are the couple we saw in the Great Depression with the baby.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So they were supposed to have 2 scenes, not just this one in the train, but one where they had like young Lois in their arms.
You don't think about Lois Lane's parents that much, do you?
Not that much.
Not in this
At
story.
least not in this instance. Later on, when they make her dad a general who kind of faces off against Superman every now and then.
She had her own fucking run too for a while.
Lois?
Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She did. Let's see. So that's where it would be Lois. But a bigger thing is that the actors who play Lois's parents are Noel Neill and Kirk Allen, who are the first Superman and Lois Lane on film, and Kirk Allen being the second Superman actor in this movie. They were in the 1948 serial, and Noel Neill, if you watch the first episode of the serial, is introduced as Lois Lane on a train.
Oh, shit.
Which is kind of what this might be referencing. I don't know if that's intentional.
Could be. I don't know.
It's a stretch, but it's a funny coincidence if it's not intentional.
They're both in the pantheon of
Yeah.
Superman pop culture, though.
Yeah.
Those two things.
This would also start the tradition of a former Lois Lane actress playing Lois Lane's mom later on. So this became a thing after this movie.
Yeah.
So Phyllis Coates, who played Lois in Superman vs. the Atom Man serial, as well as the first season of the George Reeves show, played Terry Hatcher's mom in Lois and Clark.
Well, goddamn.
There's a lot of deep dives here.
Wow.
So just real quick, it's a little confusing because at first I was like getting Noel Neill and Phyllis Coates confused. So here's the rundown of it. 1948 Superman serial, first adaptation of all this.
Yeah.
Noel Neill plays Lois Lane.
Right.
Then she's not available for the second one, which is Superman versus the Atom Man. So they bring in Phyllis Coates.
Okay.
Then the George Reeves show happens, and they're like, well, Phyllis Coates was great in that second serial. Let's bring her on as Lois Lane.
Okay.
For some reason, after the first season, Phyllis Coates is not available.
Okay.
So then they're like, well, Noel Neill was pretty good in that first serial. Let's bring her in.
Bring her back.
So
Saul Kine's grandfather.
Yeah, exactly. So Noel Neill and Phyllis Coates had played Lois Lane to both Kirk Allen and George Reeves in the 40s through the 50s.
Yeah.
So they were kind of the mainstays of it, even though they played different versions. In a way. But yeah, Phyllis Coates went on to be the mom to Terry Hatcher's Lois and Clark. And then Terry Hatcher went on to play the mom to Lois in Smallville for a scene.
Oh, shit, that's right.
To Erica Durance.
Yeah.
Erica Durance has not really carried on the tradition quite yet because there hasn't really been a Lois Lane who's young enough to pass as Erica Durance's daughter.
Yeah, Amy Adams is about, I don't know how old she is, but yeah.
Yeah, no, Amy Adams is older, Erica Durance, so unless this is like a flashback, it's unlikely.
Right.
However, Erica Durance does play Supergirl's mom on Supergirl. So
oh, shit. Okay.
That's the compromise, I guess. On
Berlanti just killing it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Clark returns home to the Kents, and that's where they have this conversation about, is a bird showing off when it flies? And all that. All thanks to Mankiewicz. Again, this whole high school stuff is all Tom Mankiewicz.
Yeah.
And this is where Jonathan Kent dies of a heart attack.
Right.
Glenn Ford actually studied and researched heart attacks in order to give a believable performance.
Oh, shit.
Because when he did the first take, Donner was like, "Why are you grabbing your arm?" And Glenn Ford said, "Because that's actually what happens."
Oh, shit.
So, again, verisimilitude, everybody.
Damn.
Glenn Ford has like 2 scenes, and he still does the research to make sure he's being believable in this. So
that's the thing, man. Ford. It's so, especially then, probably still now. It's just so acting game is so fucking cutthroat. Mm-hmm. Anybody that makes it to a fucking, an actual, not to downplay lower roles, but like less. What can I say? Like above commercial. I don't know how to say it, but like a big role.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work goes into it. Like like Andrew Sellon talking about all the research he did.
Yeah.
Bradley Stryker, like all the people we've talked to personally, like so much fucking work. Like, it doesn't surprise me at all that he had this research done for this fucking role.
No. I mean, there's a number of A-list actors in this movie in very small roles.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of top-tier British actors as the Kryptonian Council in the very beginning. There's this one dude who says a line, but so does Vonda. And apparently, according to Tom Mankiewicz, he had like 3 or 4 different lines that he cycled different line deliveries of that because he's like, "Is that good?" Because I've only got like 2 lines this entire thing. So,
yeah.
But he wanted to make sure that he nailed it.
Yeah,
on
something
that.
about the Royal Shakespearean Actor Company. I don't know, like the acting world in England is on a whole other level, man. Seems like.
So that's how we got such a great stellar cast in this. And this is also why like Chris Nolan cites Superman the movie as like one of the prime influences on Batman Begins. He said, I wanted to surround a lesser known actor because Christian Bale was not like a big star at the time.
He wasn't really,
He wasn't quite Christopher Reeve unknown, but he was still not like a big A-lister. And Chris Nolan says, well, I saw what they did with Superman the movie.
Right.
And I want to make sure that we do the same with Batman Begins, which is why we got Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine. Like,
right.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah.
Let's see. In the comics, Clark actually lost both of his parents in Superman 53 in 1948. Both Mary and John Kent, as they were named at the time, died of natural causes. And
natural causes.
Yeah.
Okay.
As it said.
At the same time?
Around the same time. There was another version that said it was like some sort of weird fever thing.
It could be that whole thing like you married to somebody for a long time and when one dies, the other one dies not far after. You know, I could kind of see that.
Yeah.
But it's less dramatic. You know, like Superman, Pa Kent dying of a heart attack is like thematically important because it's like he can save everybody in the fucking world almost, but he can't save a guy from a heart attack.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe he should have been telling him to eat better his whole life. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the diet was at the Kent farm, but you know what I mean?
Red meat.
But, but you know what I mean? There's something thematically important about that. That's why it's written so well, and that's why it's not good in Man of Steel.
Yes. Anyway, all the Snyder stands are like, unsubscribe.
I'm sorry. We're gonna get to it eventually. I like Man of Steel a lot.
Yes. It was John Kent on his deathbed who told Clark, like, to use your gifts as a power for good in that comic, and he was the one who suggested the name Superman.
Okay.
Again, in that comic. So obviously that's not what happened in the movie.
Superman never names himself. Never.
Only in the radio show.
Okay.
But that was because like they didn't even have the Kents in that. They were just trying to simplify and go straight to like he just gets out of the spaceship as a man, as a grown-ass man, and can speak English already. Some
of the things like what I learned recently was like up and away. They were just saying that because it was a fucking radio. Like you know, up and away. Like you don't need that for visual, but for radio show for kids especially, they needed like that audio cue.
Yeah. No, definitely. So Eben Kent survives in the 1948 serial.
Yeah.
Clark saves him from a tornado. Take note, Zack Snyder.
The subtitle of this episode is "We Shat on Man of Steel." I'm sorry.
But
I got complicated emotions about it.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll treat it fairly with positive and negative emotions, like we do with everything.
Ben, I'm going beat by beat on that motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
You'll see.
Eben Kent did, however, die of a heart attack in the pilot for the George Reeves show.
Okay.
So that's actually where that idea comes from.
Oh, interesting. So it doesn't come in the comics.
It doesn't come from the comics because again, both characters died at the
natural
same time
causes.
Of natural causes. They didn't specify like Jonathan Kent died of a heart attack. Like they just have both of them die, and it was the Adventures of Superman show that just had Eben Kent die, and then like Sarah Kent just sees George Reeves off at the train station, and that's the end of the Kents. I don't know necessarily.
Bye, Mom.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily if the if Benton-Newman just saw that in the George Reeves show and said like, oh, let's just go with that, or if it was just a coincidence, or it probably was the George Reeves show, honestly, because that was a popular thing in the 50s.
Right.
So, we'll see on that. But a lot of people do cite Superman the movie as the influence for the Jonathan Kent heart attack, but technically it was the George Reeves show that did that first.
Wow. Okay.
So
interesting.
We do see. Let's see. There's the Jonathan Kent funeral and Clark discovering the crystal in the spaceship. After that, in these scenes.
Okay.
And Clark was meant to use his X-ray vision for this part as well, in terms of seeing, through the ship and seeing the crystal and
right.
There's strangely not a lot of X-ray vision use in the movie compared to the script. At most, you just see him look at her lungs, Lois Lane's lungs, when she's like, "Let me guess, I shouldn't smoke because of cancer, right?" And he's like, "Zoom." I was like, "Well, no cancer yet."
Yeah, right.
So I think that's the main instance of it, though.
That's interesting. Is there freeze breath in it? They often don't use freeze breath a whole lot either.
I don't think there is.
I know it's not used in Man of Steel.
I don't think there is in this one.
Even though it's kind of a big thing in the comics and the animated shit.
That's a good. I guess we got to rewatch it again.
Yeah.
There was originally going to have a sequence where Clark promises to clear out the field for Martha, and he uses his super speed to do that. The small scene is not in the movie, and I can see why they're just like, we don't have the time or the effects for this. This has no importance in the story whatsoever.
Cut to her being happy. It doesn't really do much.
Yeah. But Martha packs some sandwiches for him to eat and gives his father's old pocket watch as a goodbye gift. Again, this is all stuff that was cut. We do see him add the sandwiches into the bag that has the crystals in them, as well as the blankets that are going to be used for the Superman suit.
Okay.
I guess AI Jor-El has a sewing machine in the Fortress of Solitude to turn that into his suit, but they never really explained that.
It's fine.
That's how they explain it.
You can get so much away with future tech. Like, you know what I mean? It's pretty much magic. Don't even worry about it.
My son, I got the needle and trying to thread it through.
The robots do it for me. I can't deal with it.
They don't pay me enough for this. They don't pay me $19 million. I don't know.
Oh man, I feel like Marlon Brando's personality is so different from that of what Jor-El should be.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's see. In the Benton-Newman draft, there's a part where Clark gets a ride from a truck driver who's like, "You're gonna freeze to death," but Mankiewicz actually changes this where the truck driver's like, "You're gonna freeze to death," and Clark's like, "No, I'll be okay." Truck driver's like, doesn't get it. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that Clark can withstand all the cold.
Yeah.
But that was supposed to show that. And I guess that was the purpose of that, was to see it. Obviously,
I always thought like I like what's his name? Ralph Garman hates that whole like vagabond Superman thing and Man of Steel.
Oh, really?
It shows up in Birthright, I think. Superman kind of traveling the world. And man, I just think like if I did it before I became a reporter, especially, that's exactly what I would do. Like if you have no trouble getting hurt, you don't even need to fucking eat. Really,
I'd say Birthright is a great version of how that would happen.
Yeah.
Because it influences how he gets into journalism. It influences how he gets to the Daily Planet.
Yeah, man. Like it makes sense that he's kind of vagabond Superman for a while, or vagabond Clark.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. The Benton-Newman draft also had, this is more humor, everybody.
Him talking to the trucker is what triggered me thinking that.
Yeah.
I know I do a lot of non sequiturs, but there was a connection.
Apparently an Eskimo watches Clark and laughs at him during this.
I believe you mean Inuit.
It says Eskimo.
It says Eskimo in the script.
It says he goes inside, tries to tell his wife, but when she comes out, Clark is already gone. And then she looks at her husband all annoyed.
Is there an igloo in the background and shit?
They were in an igloo or something.
And a polar bear? Was there a fucking polar bear?
There was a polar bear, actually, who shows up at one point.
What's the deal with this polar bear shit, man? It's a polar bear conspiracy with fucking Superman scripts.
I mean, yeah, well, we got a lot to go into with the John Peters thing.
Okay.
For anybody who doesn't know, apparently John Peters really wanted to make sure that polar bears were guarding the Fortress of Solitude. Or something like that.
Funny.
He wanted Brainiac to fight polar bears in the Kevin Smith Superman Lives draft.
Is that the same guy that likes spiders? And that's why he got
Giant
spiders in Wild Wild West?
Yeah. Yep.
And then he's essentially fighting a spider-like thing in Man of Steel.
John Peters got his wish.
Yeah. And there's a polar bear in One Quick Shot in Man of Steel, too.
Fucking John Peters.
Dude, it's funny. It's interesting, yeah. Aquaman throws judo throws a polar bear in one of the comics.
Really?
Yeah, for some fucking reason.
Poor bear.
Yeah, it's like woof.
Oh.
He's probably getting attacked, but still.
Probably, yeah. Clark actually was supposed to use his heat vision to help carve the Fortress of Solitude in the script.
Oh shit!
Which I thought was cool. I don't really remember much heat vision, if at all.
I think it's in there.
I think it's in there, but I don't remember when.
I can't remember either.
Yeah,
but my memory's not great.
Must not have been that big of a scene.
Not great with that stuff sometimes.
Let's see. Fortress of Solitude is in the Arctic in the comics. However, as I said, this is the birth of the more crystal-looking version of the Fortress of Solitude, as opposed to just like a keyhole in a mountain, which is what it was in the Silver Age.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that's funny too, but the crystal look is cool, and I wonder if that's connected at all to that silver chrome S symbol they did for the movie. I don't know. Crystal, silver, chrome. I don't know. Maybe to me, there's some sort of weird connection there.
Yeah.
Just aesthetically.
So let's see. Clark Kent goes in and he puts in the crystal, and then we get to meet the AI Jor-El, and he gets to ask, "Who am I?" Right.
Yeah.
Apparently, Christopher Reeve, when he decided he was going to be dubbing over Jeff East, he decided he wanted to do that scene in person with Marlon Brando, especially because he wanted to work with Brando.
Yeah.
So he only really had the line, "Who am I?" So he kept rehearsing, "Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?" And Donner knew this, and he told this to Brando. And so they say action. Christopher Reeve goes up to Brando and says, "Who am I?" And Brando looks at him and he's like, "You're going to say it like that?" Just to get under his skin.
You don't even have your pants on. I don't care if you're Marlon Brando. You don't tell me to do fucking anything. I'm Superman. Who's headlining this picture? I want to see Reeves get all old school Hollywood on Brando. Who's headlining this here picture?
Did you see that interview where Reeve was very honest with his feelings about Brando?
There's some interview of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on Letterman or something, where he's just like, I have respect for him, but I didn't enjoy talking to him.
I think I have seen
it was
this.
It's a very Superman-like way to phrase it, too, where he was like honest, but also like still you couldn't help but like him and not see it as him trashing.
Reeves was upset he didn't take it seriously, right? Like, I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's years after the fact, too, probably, right?
I think so. I have to look
like
at the
late
date of
'80s,
it.
maybe.
Maybe I'd have to take a look.
But
where that came from.
More than likely after the fact, way after the fact, and I just think that's so cool that he was super into the role and sort of more or less embodied it for the rest of his fucking life.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So
even after the accident.
Yeah. No. Totally. Let's see. Somebody brought this up, and it's interesting because very much in the comics and the previous adaptations, it was the Kents who came up with the idea that you have to go around the world and do good for others with your powers.
Yeah.
And that's not actually said in any of the Smallville scenes with Jonathan or Martha. Jonathan doesn't even really suggest it. He just said, you're here for a reason. But he doesn't actually suggest him using those powers for good. It's actually the AI Jor-El who talks about doing that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting twist. But again, it's fucking Marlon Brando. So, like, of course you're going to make him more responsible for that.
Yeah.
And he
that's
talks,
cool. I mean, I think that's pretty much we can get why he does what he does.
Yeah. There is a monologue that I think was cut where Jor-El talks about how the virtuous spirit has no need for thanks or appreciation. And there's a blooper, and I can't find it online. I swear I've seen it because people did edits of it, but Marlon Brando goes into, the virtuous spirit has no need for thanks or appreciation. You must remember this, Elon. I mean, Kal-El, Ralph, whatever your name is.
Bagel.
And they're just like, cut.
Cream cheese.
And then there's also another one where he does a poem. He has to because there were those sequences where Jor-El is like teaching him about Earth and everything, and he sings this poem about a tree, and then at one point he just forgets what the rest of it is, and he's like, the Camptown ladies sing this song, doo-wah, doo-wah, doo-wah.
And then the baby hits the ejector seat. I'm out of this planet.
So yeah, Brando was making jokes on this set, basically.
Oh man, shit.
And then there was a bit of a moment in the Benton-Newman draft where Jor-El basically talks about how I don't understand this word, but your mother sends her love. And then that's the continuation of that idea from before.
Wow. So the mom gets it.
Yeah, the mom gets the idea of love. Or something.
Okay.
So he kind of needed that feeling, I guess, or we'll have to see if there's more, if that pays off even more. The idea of the mother's love in this script, or if that was just some idea that they had in mind.
I know they're gonna explode in the first 20 minutes, but there is something cool about the sci-fi idea that you have a society that's near perfect, that's reached like full automation. Nobody really has to work. Think of like a sci-fi utopia. I imagine this is maybe in the DNA of the story with Krypton,
right?
And at that point, people don't become more evil. They don't become more good. They become more cold. They become more sterile. And as we advance, this is part of the idea, I think, with Vulcans in Star Trek. But like as we advance in our society and with technology and stuff, do we lose baser human emotions along the way?
Right.
This is probably not in the fucking movie, but this is the kind of shit.
I think so, yeah.
This is kind of the shit that I kind of like to think about. This is the kind of shit that sci-fi, like Star Wars is sci-fi, is a fantasy set in space. It's great. But it's fantasy. There's literally knights and princesses in it. But like true sci-fi, I think gets you thinking a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that those kind of concepts are, I don't know, it's kind of fun, Ben.
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, it's interesting to think that he's basically, and this is what's in John Byrne's Man of Steel. Like he needed to be. He's both Kryptonian and human. Like he has to acknowledge both heritages. On that in order for him to really feel like himself, to really feel like he's staying true to who he is.
And he generally chooses Earth.
Yeah.
Over, I mean, Krypton's gone,
Right,
but he
because
chooses
his
over
Krypton's dead,
the heritage, though, heritage-wise,
Let's see. The Benton-Newman draft has a long introduction to the adult Superman. I'm going to have Andrew
This
read
is
off
totally
here.
different, huh?
This is very different because in the movie, he just flies. He just flies towards the camera. And towards it. But here it has a long description here.
And there he is, in the flesh, and in the traditional costume, blue outfit, red trunks, and cape, yellow monogram, the big S, a handsome, strong man in his 30s who wears the weight of his mission lightly, but takes everything with the proper seriousness. His intelligence shines through all the macho aspects of his personality, and at all times, even in the middle of action and violence, he retains a kind of twinkle in his eye that lets us know that he sees everything from a slightly off-center position. He's just cross-eyed. That while acknowledging his bizarre lifestyle, he can also see that it has its humorous side when looked at from the proper perspective. He is warm, likable, and generous. But when he becomes Clark Kent, the disguise takes on almost schizoid dimensions. A great personality change, exaggerating all this everyday normal qualities that are so inherently foreign to his true personality. And yet, as we will see, there is a part of him that yearns and longs to be Clark Kent, free from the overwhelming responsibilities that come unmasked from being who he is, Superman.
It's a long-ass introduction. This is why that script was 400 pages.
Also, it's a visual medium.
Yeah, you're not going to get any Christopher Reeve, as good as an actor he is not going to convey this in one look.
This is one Christopher Reeve taking 2 steps as Clark Kent towards the camera.
Yeah,
that's all that is visually.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
In film school, they're very much about make sure what you write is something that can be visually represented on screen.
Also, most of the time, writer is not the DP, not the director of photography, the camera guy.
Yeah.
So, if the screenwriter writes something overly kind of telling what the camera guy should do,
that can be
you're overstepping
hazy,
your job.
Yeah.
So that's how Hollywood works, y'all.
Yeah. I'd say the only exception to that is if there's a story reason why somebody is in that light.
Yeah.
You can't see, you're not supposed to see that character or that type of thing. Or I always tell people it's not really important that he wears a red hat unless there's another scene where people describe him as a guy with a red hat, and that pays off in the plot.
Right.
But otherwise, you don't say what he's wearing because it doesn't really matter, and you leave that up to the costume designer.
Unless you're describing a character, right? As far as he's slovenly or clean cut or something.
I'd say that's different.
That's the realm of the writer.
Yeah, but that's different from saying he's wearing a plaid shirt with a leather jacket. Leave that up to the...
Because you're overstepping the costume design department.
Also, it doesn't really matter in any way. It doesn't really matter when reading the script on that. Again, unless there's a reason why the plaid shirt pays off later on, plot-wise. In which case, sure, write that in. Because you need to know that.
If you've never read a movie script out there, take a look at it. There's a lot online. Yeah. And if it's your first time, you'll probably be surprised how bare bones they are.
Yes. But yeah, that is the introduction to Superman in the Benton-Newman draft.
Oh, shit.
And then Clark Kent, or Superman, flies towards the screen in the movie, and then we cut to Metropolis.
And that's where Mankiewicz really takes over.
And that's where I think Mankiewicz really sort of takes over. I mean, he's already taken over the whole Smallville stuff.
Okay.
But they definitely have to make a lot of cuts when it comes to the Superman stuff. So we will dive into that in part 3. In there, but we have covered Krypton and
I miss the Salkinds. I miss them. The slow, sleazy, lovable guys with a very
everything you have is perfect.
Convoluted, very convoluted backstory themselves.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
but yeah, that is the story. I mean, that's the coverage of the first, I want to say, hour of Superman the movie. I think.
Most surprising thing, probably. I know that you just asked that, Ben.
Yeah.
But
what was the most surprising thing?
I think it was the The guy being dubbed.
Jeff East being dubbed.
Jeff East being dubbed. I
Yeah.
think most surprising for
Again,
sure.
like I've seen this movie a million times, and I still don't think about it.
I didn't,
I
dude.
still don't notice.
To me, you might have seen me post on Facebook a while back, but like I notice ADR.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Like some people just can't stand bad CG.
Mm-hmm.
I will accept damn near wireframe CG. I have no problem accepting shitty CG. Doesn't bother me for some reason. But if like I notice somebody's lips are a little bit off, it just it drives me crazy. And Terry Gilliam's movies do this.
Really?
He ADRs the fuck out of his movies.
Yeah.
Also, Gilliam did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Dude, I just have a hard time watching it because it's just
The
like,
ADR.
imagine if you hate bad CG. Just imagine your feelings when you see bad CG. That's me if ADR is whenever they after the fact kind of dub themselves just to explain to the audience, and it just drives me crazy. But I didn't notice it at all with this movie. I don't know why.
How good they had it in 1978, and I don't know how they fucked it up in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in the 90s.
Mad Max Fury Road also it drives me crazy
Very,
because what's his name is old school, pretty old school.
George Miller.
George Miller, yeah. I think a lot of that was
Tom Hardy's
ADR.
very ADR.
Very ADR, right?
Yeah, it almost feels like none of his dialogue is from set.
Dude, I can't. It just drives me nuts. And then fucking like spaghetti westerns, forget about it, dude.
Yeah.
I
mean,
can't deal with that
You
shit.
kind of have to make special exception for foreign shot movies.
Yeah,
that are being dubbed over.
They I don't think they had a sound guy on set for those movies at all.
That would make sense. Honestly,
It was just already understood. They're gonna dub later.
I know Morricone actually had like his music being played on the set as they were shooting, which obviously means they couldn't do any of the audio pickups because you would have all that music in the fucking
definitely.
background.
There would be no way.
So that'd be weird. But yeah, that is. Let's see. I would say to me when researching this, most surprising thing was probably the different stuff about Smallville that I didn't know. I didn't really know that Kansas was not established until the movie.
That was maybe number 2 for me.
Yeah. I just assumed that was all how it always was. It was a small town and stuff. I didn't know it was the movie that said no, it's in specifically Kansas.
Yeah.
So that was definitely new to me. And then I had to really look into like what is up with this whole Eben Kent, Jonathan Kent, John Kent, Mary Kent. Like how many Kent names are there?
They went through a few name changes. Yeah, I learned this recently myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's wild just to think how much this movie was taken from what before and improved on it or influenced what came after.
It's funny they didn't choose like the countryside in Ohio just to give like a little thing back to Siegel and Schuster, but they went with Kansas.
Funny enough, I think Smallville was shot in Canada in this movie. It's not shot in Kansas at all.
Really?
It's shot in Calgary, Canada.
All kinds are like, we need that tax break. They had the tax breaks even then, man.
Yeah.
One guy who will remain unnamed on air.
Yeah.
But he was an older Hollywood type that I met through before I even met you. He said, "So you moved to Los Angeles, where they don't make movies here anymore." Because productions everywhere else now, they call them runaway productions, I guess, but they're coming back a little bit. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Thank you again, Ben, for the super tutelage. I usually say bat tutelage for the super tutelage.
Super
This is
tutelage.
great stuff. I love getting to know Superman more and more. Again, I was more into Batman growing up, definitely, and it's just more immediately appealing. But I don't know, something about getting older and it's appreciating Superman more. I don't know what it is.
These are hopeful times as we get into 2021.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's a whole other topic, I guess. But yeah, man, I don't know what it is, but it's cool. I used to think he was really lame and cheesy, but now I fucking honestly can't get enough. I've been reading his Rebirth run, and I had I read all this like the Reddit stuff as well, the subreddit recommendations. Thank you, reddit.com/r/Superman for those in the sidebar. I never officially said thank you for that, but that was great. And if any of the mods from that subreddit are listening, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And
that is superhero stuff you should know. So custom shoutouts, we can't get to everybody's because we get a lot of comments, but I thought I would acknowledge a few, especially a lot of you guys who leave a lot of them. So let's start off commenting on the is Batman 89 a ripoff of Strange Apparitions. Was a fan of ours named Walter the Wobot. He says, quote, I own this book and love it. You know what? I really like the idea of Batman having a girlfriend. It's tricky. Batman can never be happy, but the idea of the conflict that arises from the concept is compelling to me. I would agree with that. I mean, I think
Batman never being happy is so sad, but I know what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, Batman just fucking going out and fucking dancing with his girlfriend at night, just not a thing he would do.
not necessarily in that way, but I think,
Yeah.
and again, like for those of us, for those of you guys who are behind the paywall, heard our Patreon stuff, we did a deep dive into the Widening Gyre by Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
That was good.
unironically like that comic. I know a lot of people put that on the shit list, but
Yeah.
to me, I actually like how he handles Bruce Wayne in love and actually trying a solid relationship with somebody who is not just another costume villain.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that's good.
So-
I don't know if you want to get negative, but like, would you ever do like the worst Batman runs? That would be like do an episode on that.
To be honest, I don't really know what I would like. I've never read something where I'm like, all this is terrible.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
so that's the only thing keeping me back from that. Isn't
Yeah.
because I'm not down to do it. It's more of just like I don't know which one I would I
Okay.
would pick. Because like I
Okay.
think there's something cool about almost everything. Maybe the most overrated.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Right.
but,
Okay. All right.
We can go into that when we go into that. Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me think through all the comics I don't really like. Let's see. Aaliyah Anderson talked about our Batman Forever novelization episode.
Oh yeah.
Saying, along with Peter David's additions to the story, I love how the novel also includes the original script's ending that pays homage to how the Tim Burton Batman films end. After Chase and Alfred leave in the car, the shot goes to the top of a skyscraper decorated with gargoyles overlooking the Gotham City skyline, where Batman stands vigil before he's joined by Robin.
Yeah. Epic.
That's an epic
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
I mean, however, again, I do really like Batman and Robin running in front of the bat signal. I do.
It's
actually
not
like
bad
that.
either.
I actually
It's
do
not
like
bad
that.
either.
I know some people are just like, oh, it's like the 66 thing of them running, but I'm like, the thing's already kind of a modern update on 66. I'm cool with that.
I think what it is just the missing the gargoyle. There's something about production value. Them being on a gargoyle as well, the visual plus the production value. Gotham. There's something. The running is cool, but it is cheaper.
yeah.
Let's put it out there.
Yeah.
It's a cheaper shot.
I do wonder why they changed it too, because some of the other stuff I'm like, okay, I get it. Maybe they thought the giant bat was too much in that deleted scene in Batman Forever, even though it's a fantastic scene. But
Oh, man.
for this
Yeah.
one, I'm like, I don't know why you, especially because they did definitely shoot this.
Yeah.
The ending with them on top of the gargoyle and stuff. So maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just didn't have the budget to fill in, because I think I saw it on a blue. They were in front of a blue screen.
Oh
for
yeah,
that.
I believe I've
so
seen
they
this
would
shot
have
as well.
CG'd. They would have had to have CG'd the background. Maybe they just didn't.
But
make that
still,
look good.
at least they shot it. It would have. I think it probably would have been a little better. I don't hate the running shot. It's
Neither do I,
fine.
yeah.
It's fine, but the gargoyle might have been a better choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The last one is Jose Arocha. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Jose has left a lot of comments for us, but I
Yeah.
wanted to acknowledge at least one of them. The first one that sprung to mind was the first one I think that you did, Jose, which was from the Batman script from 1982. It said, quote, "So glad I found this. I found you guys because someone posted one of your episodes on a comic book shop and swap group on Facebook." That's
Whoa,
cool.
really?
That's cool. That's what he
Oh,
said. Yeah.
is that what I did? Wait. Comic book shop and swap group on Facebook. Oh, this might have been something that I posted, but yeah, that's
maybe,
cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sam
yeah.
Hamm's draft of the movie would have been so much better. I agree, personally. In retrospect, 89 doesn't have a lot of characterization, and Hamm's script does. Oh, what could have been.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think the Sam Hamm script would have been a lot more character focused. So definitely check out that episode if you haven't already, in terms of why I feel that way.
Bruce Wayne in Batman 89 remains mysterious to people on screen and in the audience.
And the audience, yeah. As opposed, like, I just think it's like Sam Hamm's original pitch for the movie
Yeah.
was Batman is insane.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
you can debate about, but like he's insane, or in terms of he's obsessed with his mission and everything, and then he falls in love with a girl.
The
and then he
insane part
becomes-
again gets into the verisimilitude kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Where like, yeah, a guy dressed as a bat
Yeah.
going around, like say if Batman didn't exist in this world,
Mhm.
and dressed as a bat beating up people in the street, like yeah, it would be
Yeah,
an insane guy. But this is again comic book reality. This is verisimilitude again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donner, for putting
Right.
that in. You know,
And
it's
Burton
in,
had a
it's in
similar
the comics
approach, yeah.
already, but like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the idea was Batman is insane, but then when he falls in love, he turns sane. That was the summary that Ham
It's usually the
came up
reverse.
with. Yeah, but I thought that was really interesting. I don't think that's conveyed in the movie. doesn't
Okay.
feel that way in the movie because the love story does not feel very front and center as much as it does in the original Ham draft. You don't really care about Vicky Vale as much as you do in the Ham draft. Like, there's a lot of characterization that's
When
just not
she's
there.
like damn near going down to blow the Joker, what it looks like in the last in the cathedral scenes, it's a little
That was definitely on-set rewrite.
it should have had a little more if, in a perfect world. The movie fucking rules, but you know what I mean? Like, there's less. It's not that emotional. It feels like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it should
I
be
agree.
like more emotional for Bruce or something.
Right, yeah, like there's the
don't
beat
know.
at the end where she talks about how he saved everybody. And,
Yeah.
and Batman's like, you saved me, in terms of like, you saved my sanity, you saved my soul. And that's definitely not conveyed at all in the movie.
Yeah.
Classic movie, but not quite what was originally intended by the writer.
There's ultimately some disconnect between Vicky Vale and Bruce Wayne in Batman '89, wouldn't you say?
In the final movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even close to what was in the original
Yeah.
draft as we covered in that episode. So,
So you're right, Jose. Jose,
yeah.
right?
Jose, yeah. Jose. So thank you, Jose, for all your comments. We definitely acknowledge and read them, and I thought I would bring that up in the show.
Okay, cool. All right.
On to you.
Okay, once again, we'd like to thank Kooky and Noms. I'll do it like SNL guy. Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Aaron Willett, Ian H., Dan D., Leomo, and featuring Super Inframan. Please join the Shasta Army. That's our $1 tier on patreon.com/superherostuffpod. And then check out the $5 tier. That's when it really gets good, y'all.
Yeah.
We got the deeper dives. We got all kinds of shit on there. That's weekly.
Yes.
It's not $5 per episode. It's $5 per month for every week. So four extra episodes.
And we do deeper dives into what we already covered. So if you've heard of Batman 89, is that a ripoff of Strange Apparitions? We go into the sequel arc of where they covered more of what was really going on with the ghost of Hugo Strange. Or if you heard our Dark Detective one, and we go into the other stories of Silver St. Cloud, including the one where she's with Elmer Fudd, which was amazing.
Yeah. So for the Patreon too, if you're new to it, I just thought of this, but you can do what I do when I cancel subscriptions. Like, if you want to pay for just a month, even, I actually tell Siri, like, remind me in a week to cancel that subscription, or say, okay, Google, tell your Google Assistant, remind me to cancel in a month or whatever. And you could do it that way too if you want. It's just an idea. But the idea, you can cancel your Patreon subscription anytime. And that's monthly. So, and there's others as well. We have like mugs and shit on there, all kinds of shit.
Super Inframan has one.
Yeah, Super Inframan has one. He sends a picture. Did we ever Instagram that shit?
We did not.
Let's ask him.
Right.
Let's ask him if we can Instagram that mug. Okay. He's the first. As of this recording, dude, you are the only one in the world with that mug.
Hero Stuff You Should Know mug. So
yeah. So there you go. Please leave us a review in iTunes. Helps us out immensely. And again, just to explain that, we're not just saying that. Whenever somebody leaves a review, it increases our visibility in the iTunes ranking. It's like it's just search engine optimization kind of shit. It's SEO kind of shit. So if you leave us a review, even just like 5 stars, 4 stars, 1 star, leave us something that can just help increase our invisibility in the iTunes store. Spotify's making it's getting bigger and bigger, but still iTunes is a pretty big deal in the podcast game. After that, please record something on your phone. So like, it could be anything. It could be a voice, it could be a regular voice, and then it's a voice recorder app. You already have it on your phone unless you deleted it already. It comes default. And record us whatever you want, and then send that to superhousepodcast@gmail.com. Okay? And if you have any troubles getting that to us, let us know in the comment section or whatever, and we will try to fix that. But you can share it directly from the app. So I thought I'd just give a little bit more explanation this time around.
Definitely, yeah.
Benatavius. And I usually skim over this shit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Twitter and Instagram. please check us out on YouTube if you're not already. If you've been a podcast-only listener, we've been doing it Rogan, and we got it on YouTube as well. If you're on YouTube already, you already know. And that's it. Over to Ben.
All right, you can follow us on Twitter as well, on SuperHousePod, which is mainly me tweeting on that type of stuff, but sometimes we retweet a lot of fan-made material or other things that are relevant to our episodes, actually, which is what I've been finding interestingly enough lately. Let's see, you can also follow us on Instagram at SuperHeroStuffPod, as well as follow me on Instagram at BenJuanWriter. And I believe that is it. We are going to take off, up, and away to return next week with part 2, or actually part 3, part 2 of the movie, of what happens in Metropolis. Stay tuned.